I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cooking. Hello, and welcome to Keep On Cooking, the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and hey, flying solo today. It's that kind of episode. What can I say? Hey, we are here to talk about vegan mac and cheese. Check it out. Vegan mac and cheese, more than 50 delicious plant-based recipes for the ultimate comfort food by Robertson. This book came out in 2019. And I got to tell you, I was writing, when did my epic vegan book come out? 2018, I think it came out. And then it came out in the summer of 2019. And as I was writing Epic Vegan, I kept thinking to myself, gosh, I want to make a book dedicated to vegan macaroni and cheese. And then I'm not joking, this book came out, landed on my doorstep from actually the same publisher that I was working with. And I was like, well, gosh darn, somebody beat me to it. Not just somebody, but Robertson herself, the queen of vegan cookbooks. Of course, I've talked about a few of her books now. Vegan Slow Cooker. What else did we talk about? Vegan Slow Cooker, Vegan on the Cheap. I feel like I talked about one more. If not, there's so many more to talk about. And you can go back and listen to those episodes. And I think Vegan Slow Cooker is where I first introduced her on the podcast. She's obviously known to the world, but I talk about her history a little bit more in that episode. So feel free to go back and check out more about Robin Robertson if you want to dive into her history and cooking and all that stuff like that. But for now, we're going to dive into this book. First, have to have a sip of my bevy. I'm doing something different. If you're watching the podcast, I'm usually over in the kitchen. Today I'm over in the dining room. All the cookbooks are behind me. I'm having a little sip of this beverage that I got. This is not an advertisement, I just realized, but I did bring the bottle over because I wanted to show you. It's a brand called Callie, K-A-L-L-Y, and I got this from my dear sweet friend Natalie of Bake and Destroy. And this one is vanilla smoke, and it is just that, right? So I don't drink, and this is a lovely thing. I put it in a wine glass. I did put this fancy little ice cube in it that is like the shape of what is spherical? Is that what you say, right? When it's the shape of a ball, a circle. But it's just so tasty. Oh, and I'm gonna sip it. It's a good sipper. I'm bad at sipping, but I'm gonna sip it. My goal is by the end of this episode, there will still be something left in that glass. But it's a nice wine replacement, really. And this has a little bit of tart. It's a little tart, but then also sweet with the vanilla and smoky, like it says. So it's got all those flavors, and it's I think probably nice if you're not somebody who drinks like me. And I can't wait to look into more of what Callie has to offer because I'm sure there's other flavors and variations of it. But shout out to Natalie of Bake and Destroy, who you also might remember. She's been on the podcast with her book, Bake and Destroy, but then she was also on a couple weeks ago, or last week, was it? Couple weeks ago with Vegan Brunch. We talked about Issa's book, Vegan Brunch. So you can go back and hear Natalie on the podcast talk about Vegan Brunch. And a couple of you slipped into my DMs, said that you loved having her hosting. So maybe she'll come back on if we ask nicely. But we're going to dive in, just me today, vegan mac and cheese, more than 50 delicious plant-based recipes for the ultimate comfort food. Here we go. Who says vegans can't have macaroni and cheese? I ask you, huh? In this inspiring volume by best-selling vegan author Robin Robertson, you will find more than 50 awesome plant-based recipes for deeply flavorful dishes that take this timeless comfort food in exciting new directions. Like most people, chances are you've eaten a lot of macaroni and cheese in your life. If you're new to plant-based diet, you might be wondering if you can still enjoy this comforting meal, and you'll be happy to know the answer is yes. Robin shows you how to make what she calls mac UnCheese, rich, delectable pasta dishes featuring vegan cheese sauces that start with plant milks, vegetables, and nuts as their base ingredients. Using the sauces, or if you prefer, using store-bought vegan cheese, you can make many tempting variants of the cheesy pasta dish, from the familiar and homey, such as Mom's classic Mac UnCheese recipe in this book, to the globally adventuresome, such as Indian curry mac or Salsa Mac and Queso. Get into it with some queso in the pasta. An entire chapter is devoted to veggie-loaded mac and cheese dishes like Buffalo Cauliflower Mac, Arugula Pesto Mac UnCheese, or Smoky Mac and Peas with mushroom bacon. Okay, now. Another chapter serves up meatless mac and cheeses made meaty with lentils, jackfruit, mushrooms, and more. And for delicious fun, there are recipes for mac and cheese balls, mac and cheese pizza, waffled mac and cheese, and cheesy mac muffins, waffle mac and cheese. There is a podcast called Compassion and Cucumbers. Shout out to Compassion and Cucumbers. And they were talking about doing a series called Will It Waffle on YouTube. And I'm really hoping that they do. Shout out to Sammy and Christine there. And let's hope that they do, because will it waffle? I want to know. I want to see if all the things will waffle, right? So that's Compassion and Cucumbers. Though I'm do you ever see words in your head and you're like, am I getting that right? I'm gonna look, because something in my brain is telling me cucumbers and compassion now, but I'm pretty sure compassion and cucumbers. Let's take a look-see-loo. Compassion and cucumbers. There we go. I had it right. I shouldn't doubt myself. But you can go on there and listen to them. But then they're also talking about this YouTube where they potentially will do a Will It Waffle and waffle different things. So I would love to see that. Onward now. Enough about waffles. Don't get me started on waffles. Am I right? In addition to the recipes, vegan mac and cheese features lists of toppings, add-ins, and other ways to be creative with these plant-based mac and cheese recipes, which will warm your soul all year long. Now, Robin starts the book out by addressing America's love for comfort food, known as mac and cheese, which I already told you she then refers to as mac UnCheese. Get it? She also covers a timeline for macaroni and cheese. And I'll note that she has Thomas Jefferson on the timeline for 1802 for featuring a mac and cheese pie on a state dinner menu and being the reason that the dish has been associated with the United States. And while Thomas Jefferson often gets credit for popularizing macaroni and cheese in the United States, it was, of course, his enslaved black chef, James Hemings, who learned to cook it and served it up at the state dinner. So maybe there'll be a revised version and Robin can update this one day and give some credit where it's due there. Another interesting stop on the timeline is the introduction of Kraft macaroni and cheese dinner. It first popped up in grocery stores as the housewife's new best friend in 1937. So the box Kraft mac and cheese that we all grew up on, 1937. Thought that was an interesting fact. And in that first year, more than 8 million boxes were sold. Can you believe that? I just didn't even, when I think of 1937, and everyone's going to be like, Dustin, come on now. But I'm like, how are things being mass produced on that level? That's bananas to me. 8 million boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese. But it's very interesting because then I looked it up online. I love seeing old products. I don't know about you, but I looked up online sort of the history of Kraft macaroni and cheese. And there were just pictures of the different boxes and everything. And it's amazing to see how those things have unfolded through the years and look back at it. And that time too, but that labeling too, the housewife's new best friend. Not no more. Well, she also references a book in this timeline released in 1994 by Joanne Stepaniak called The UnCheese Cookbook, creating amazing dairy-free cheese substitutes and classic uncheese dishes. So she cites where she got uncheese from. And I gotta be honest, I might have ordered myself a copy of this book after I read this on the timeline. I was like, hold up, what is this dairy-free cheese making book from 1994? So I've got those coming in. Well, I say those because then it was released again, revisited, revised, updated in like 2004. So I gotta tell you, I just am a freak over these older cookbooks that existed before like 2010, really, because man, it's, well, I guess 2000s, but like anything before 2000s, because to me, I'm just like, that is, if you were writing a vegan cookbook in that time, you were like really a lone wolf, just really putting it out there and crusading. And I just have so much love for that. So I love that this book exists, creating amazing dairy-free cheese substitutes and classic uncheese dishes, the UnCheese Cookbook. So what I was saying was that there was an original version in 94 and then another one that came out like 2004, 2005, and it was revised and updated. I might have bought both of them. Oh, I just want to see like what happened. Like, what did we revise? What did we learn in that, like, 10, 12 years, whatever it was, the difference, the gap between the two books coming out. So I'm excited to get those. And I think, of course, we'll have to do an episode on them. Though we do have, we're covering a cheese book. I cannot remember the name of it right now. This is not going to be helpful to you at all. I love vegan cheese. I love making vegan cheese. It can be a finicky, weird little process. I do love making just a regular cheese sauce, which this book is loaded with because I don't have to worry about it setting or agar or carraging, all the fancy schmancy ingredients. But when you do it and you like, oh my gosh, the fresh mozzarella from Miyoko's meat cookbook. See, this is the joy of, I think I have it. The joy of sitting in this spot is that I have the cookbooks right next to me. Well, some of them behind me. So if you're watching, you see I'm holding up the screen now, Miyoko's vegan meat cookbook. And in this book, she has a recipe that I'm obsessed with for easy buffalo mozzarella. It's so good and so easy to make. And you can, of course, go listen to this episode. Miyoko was on twice, not once, but twice, and she talked about the vegan meat cookbook. And so, yeah, anyways, I'm getting on a tangent here about cheese. It's not about that. It's about this book, Mac and Cheese. Okay. Robin goes into specific brands in this portion of the book as well. Specific brands of vegan cheese available to aid in creating mac and cheese, and also mac and cheese on specific restaurant menus. She points out specific restaurants where it's available, which I was just having a conversation with someone about how if you're pointing out restaurants, that's an interesting thing because like that's really dating the book and making it more of a time capsule, right? So I appreciate it, but I'm also like, ooh, how much is this going to change? But we get a glimpse into this section of the book of must-have ingredients, pasta shapes, add-ins, and even a little note that Mac and Cheese Day is July 14th. Hashtag National Mac and Cheese Day. Mark your calendars. I probably should have saved this episode for then now that I'm reading this out loud, my notes out loud and thinking about it. But here we go. You can, if you love it, which I know you're going to love it, you can go back and listen to it on July 14th. You can have a re-listen. I don't understand when podcasts do a re-listen. When they post an old episode as a re-listen. Because if I want to re-listen to it, I'll go back and listen to it myself. Like, why? You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. I don't want to get anyone mad in the podcast world. God knows I can use all the help I can get in the podcast world, so I don't want to get nobody mad. It was just a thought of mine. It may be controversial. We don't need to talk about it again. Now let's talk about the recipes. Okay, so she breaks these down in here into some lovely chapters, as books do. We've got chapter 1, which is basic vegan mac and cheese. Chapter 2 is global cheese macs. Chapter 3, mac and veggies. And then chapter 4, meaty macs. And chapter 5, fun with mac and cheese. So let's take a look. In our basic vegan mac and cheese, we've got soy good mac UnCheese, free mac, cashew cheesy mac, mom's baked mac UnCheese, classy mac UnCheese, one pot cheesy mac, easy cheesy pantry mac, and better than boxed mac UnCheese. I made this better than boxed mac UnCheese last night, actually, because I can't flip through this book without being like, oh, just let me try that, which I love about Robin's recipes. They are almost always very approachable and very quick to execute. So I was like, let me see if and I had everything in the pantry for this, so it was great. But I'm very curious about this free mac. What is free mac? What does that mean? What are we talking about here? Free mac. This creamy casserole is free of soy, gluten, nuts, oil, and of course, cheese. Look at that. So it's free of all those items. So this was probably very allergen friendly as well. To make it a one dish meal, stir in 2 cups of a steamed green vegetable, such as broccoli florets or chopped spinach. For a silky smooth sauce, it is best to use a high-speed blender such as a Vitamix or Blendtec. And this has veggie broth, onion, carrot, potato. Oh, so this is that like old school basic mac and cheese here. So free mac, we're not using any nuts, we're not using any soy or gluten in this, but it's that classic mix that we all know and love as vegans. If you've been a vegan for a while, you know this mix, and it's that potato, carrot, and onion base. You usually boil that up with some spices, and then you're adding it to a blender and blending it up with a bunch of other stuff. It's very good, very good. Let's check out Mom's Baked Mac UnCheese. We all know what the cashew cheesy mac is going to be. Mom's Baked Mac UnCheese. That's on 37. Oh, all these pictures are really fantastic too. It just makes you just want to eat a whole pan of mac and cheese when you're looking at this book. So she says, my mother used to make a delicious baked macaroni and cheese topped with accidentally vegan Ritz cracker crumbs and paprika. The sauce began with a roux to make a rich bechamel and was baked to perfection. Note that the texture of this baked casserole is meant to be firm, not saucy. The optional shredded vegan cheese makes the sauce richer, but it's delicious without it. And we've got that's the thing I love about all of these this is what I think gets overlooked a lot with vegan mac and cheese. People really start to overcomplicate it. I am absolutely guilty of this. There's a macaroni and cheese in all my books. I do have a favorite one out of the 3 that I've put in the books. I've put a bunch online. And there's one, my favorite one that I've done is in my book, Epic Vegan, the cheesiest cheese sauce. But it's probably one of them, I wouldn't say complicated, it's just got 2 steps in it. Meanwhile, there's another one I've done with just butternut squash and cashews that I'm obsessed with. And that's easy. It's, just those 2 ingredients with a few spices in a blender, nom nom, and a liquid, of course. Anyways, not about me. This is about Mom's baked mac and cheese. And what I was saying is that Robin keeps all of these ingredients very simple. And I think with vegan mac and cheese, often people overcomplicate it and they try and put too many things in to try and achieve a flavor when really it's about sort of the salty and earthiness of it all, the depth you can kind of create without a bunch of different complex flavors, sort of having like a neutral base that just tastes really good, So we've got vegan butter in here, flour that's creating the roux, the flour and the butter there. We've got milk, nutritional yeast, salt, dry mustard, onion powder, pepper, and then optional vegan shredded cheese. And then that topping with the Ritz crackers. This is going to be nummy, nummy, nummy. So good. Now I want to make that. I wish I would have made that one last night. But they're all delicious. Let's take a look at chapter 2. So this gets exciting because it's Global Cheesy Macs. In Global Cheesy Macs, which obviously means globally inspired. Hold on. Let me take a sip of my Cali. That's Kally. So good. Okay. Chapter 2. Global Cheesy Macs. We got mac and thai, Greek spinach orzo bake, blushing baked ziti, Italian macaroni pie, salsa mac and queso, creamy curry mac, noodle kugel, Bayonne macaroni pie, Burberry spiced mac UnCheese, pastatizio. I don't know what that is. Mac and Creole. And there's another one in here that I skipped over because I didn't know how to pronounce, but I'm going to go for it. It's going to be wrong. It's Casapatzel. Kasespatzel. German? Let's find out. Maybe she tells us. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was right. So Kasespatzel, this German version of macaroni and cheese is made with spatzel, baked with cheese and, am I saying that so wrong? Spatzel. It sounds right, maybe. Baked with spatzel, baked with cheese and caramelized onions, and is a favorite comfort food in Germany. If using homemade spatzel, you can make it ahead of time and refrigerate it until it's ready to use. Similarly, make the entire casserole ahead and reheat when ready. And I tell you, I'm seeing the spatzel in here, but then I'm seeing the standard ingredients that we're usually having here, which is, a little bit of non-dairy milk, some flour, maybe some vegan butter, nutritional yeast, dry mustard, onion powder, a little black pepper. So, I feel like if you get your bearings on the base of these sauces in here, you can probably make a lot of variations on it then, as she is doing for you already. The mac and thai intrigued me. Anybody else? Let's see what we got there. She says there's a lot to love about this culinary fusion fest featuring gemelli pasta cloaked in a creamy sauce made with cashews, coconut milk, and Thai red curry paste. Oh, it looks so good. It's who doesn't love gemelli pasta? Come on. So we've got onion, Thai red curry paste, black pepper, cashews, water, and that coconut milk. I'm telling you right now, the reason I stopped and paused and was like, is because that coconut milk is just going to make it so decadent, so luscious, so creamy, so delicious. It's going to be so good. So mac and thai, get into it. Creamy curry mac is another one that kind of popped out to me. She says, the first time I combined this creamy curry sauce with pasta, I wondered what took me so long. If you love both the flavor of curry and the texture of mac UnCheese, this one's for you. And it's got peas in it. I love that. So again, we've got our base here with a little bit of we got some cashews in here, nutritional yeast. There's coconut milk in here again. And then she's got some great spices in here. So we've got some coriander, salt, turmeric, cayenne. There's some garam masala in here, and then some fresh ginger. Ooh, this sounds so yummy. Guys, I just want to make mac and cheese 4 days now. Okay, this one caught me eye. Salsa Mac and Queso. So I wonder if we're mixing salsa in or putting salsa on top. Let's see what she has to say. There's a lot of photos in this book, y'all. More than I thought as I'm like looking into it more. This is Salsa Mac and Queso, a creamy dairy-free queso sauce on your favorite tomato salsa. Team up delicious. Oh, let me start that over. Fired, Dustin. A creamy dairy-free queso sauce and your favorite tomato salsa team up deliciously in this zesty mac casserole, topped with diced tomatoes, avocado, and tortilla chips for the ultimate flavor experience. So it looks like we are trying to see if we're going to, yep. So we're going to make the queso first, which is sort of, oh, yum. So this sauce is a base of potato, onion, and red bell pepper. I love that. Of course, we have cashews in here as well. There are a lot of non-cashew ones in here, so I don't want you thinking that there's all cashews, but it has so happened that several I've landed on at this point have been cashews. And I have a sub up for that. You can use white beans, and she may mention it somewhere in here. You can use white beans, or I use unroasted, unsalted, raw sunflower seeds sometimes for that, which works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. You definitely have to have a high-speed blender for it because those little seeds give you a little they're a little finicky when you're trying to break them down, but you can do it. So you are mixing the salsa into this. I love this. Salsa Mac and Queso, here for it. All right, chapter 3. Chapter 3, everyone, is mac and veggies. So this is a great opportunity to sort of add veggies in your macaroni and cheese. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a bit of a purist, which is why last night I made the better than boxed mac UnCheese because I was like, I just want some noodles and sauce. And I've been good, real good in the last. I mean, listen, it's a journey. Okay. I in the last, since I've gone vegan, I started and really like hit it hard with junk food, vegan stuff, and I don't have a problem with that. And then eventually I was like, oh, I should be eating healthier. And then I went to a health supportive culinary school, and I like got into it a little more. But then I wavered back and forth and did what I needed to do when I was traveling and all that stuff like that. But as time has gone on, especially in the last few years, I'm like, gosh, vegetables are life and vegetables are so important. And especially in the work I do with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So I've gotten into the habit of mixing vegetables into like everything I make, and I love it. But it's taken me a long time to get there. So that's why I'm even saying that and bringing it up. I just want to say wherever you're at, if you're like, gosh, I wish I could get more vegetables in and I just never do, just keep trying. And eventually you'll be like, oh, I wish I had broccoli in this. And you're going to surprise yourself, right? Because I'm a purist when it comes to pasta. And last night when I made that unboxed mac and cheese, or better than boxed mac and cheese, you better believe I didn't put any veggies in it. I gave myself a break. And I was like, I'm not going to put vegetables. I'm just going to eat myself some pasta and sauce. And it was delicious. All that to say, I love loading my pastas up with vegetables now. So this chapter is great for me. We got the mac and veggies chapter 3, roasted butternut mac UnCheese, cheesy spaghetti squash mac, spinach artichoke mac and cheese. Ooh, come on, Robin, with the spinach artichoke mac and cheese, rutabaga mac and greens, cheesy broccoli mac, Buffalo Cauliflower Mac, Arugula Pesto Mac UnCheese, Asparagus Mac and Hollandaise. Oh my gosh. Smoky Mac and Peas with mushroom bacon, Brussels and bacon Cheesy Mac, Cheesy Primavera Mac, Roasted Vegetable Cheesy Mac, Mac and Jardinera, Roasted Garlic Mac and Cheese, Bill's Artichoke Mac and Chips. Oh, I don't know where to go to first. These all sound real good. I'm going to go to the mac and giardiniera because I want to see if I'm right. So giardiniera to me is a mixture of onions and peppers, right? And it's like a very Chicago sort of thing. Am I wrong on that? Let's see what she says. Jars of hot pickled vegetables known as giardiniera are widely available in supermarkets. A mild version is also available for those who prefer it. The zesty flavor of vegetables brightens the creamy pasta and sauce. I want to look up the origin of giardiniera because I didn't get the explanation I wanted from there. And it's Italian. That's correct. Okay. Okay, so no, that's right. So this has carrots in it. So it's not just peppers. Actually, I don't see peppers in it at all. Um I'm seeing well, it says it can be peppers, celery, carrots, cauliflower, and gherkins, well, pickles. And marinated in oil, red or white vinegar, herbs, and spices. So there we go. Okay. We just used to serve it. I used to work at a pizzeria called Joey Bonus Pizzeria in Chicago once upon a time, and we served a lot of it there. Anyway, so this mac and giardiniera, it's a basic macaroni recipe, and then it's got the hot pickled vegetables mixed into it. All right, so mixed right in. I love that. We're getting all those vegetables in there. Rutabaga mac and greens. Have y'all cooked with rutabaga before? It has not been one. There's this delicious, it's been my favorite for years. I love it, love it, love it. Head to toe, every second of it. Rutabaga fondue at Veg in Philadelphia. I'm obsessed with it. I've tried to talk Chef Rich Landau into giving me the recipe for my own personal use. He has not handed it over. I've tried to replicate it. I didn't try really hard. This was many, many years ago. I was like, I can make this. And I tried to make it. It was not good. So every time I'm in Philly, I just have to go to Veg and get my fill of the rutabaga fondue. She says, this rutabaga mac and greens, this sauce for this mac and cheese was inspired by the incomparable rutabaga fondue served at Rich Landau's amazing restaurants, Veg in Philadelphia and Fancy Radish in Washington, D.C. Well, work. Robin, look at me and you, same page, even though you won't talk to me or be a guest on the podcast. It's like you're sitting right. It's like you're in my head, or I'm on you in yours, one of the two here. But we're on the same page. That rutabaga fondue is delicious. So maybe she cracked the code. Oh my gosh, I have to make this recipe. So we got rutabaga, russet potato, yellow onion, nutritional yeast, white wine, apple cider vinegar, yellow mustard, white miso paste, and lemon juice. I love all them ingredients. I know what they do when they're together, so I think that's got to be it. Oh, Mama Robin, Nancy drew this and solved the mystery. That's amazing. I cannot wait to try that. That is so funny. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, that asparagus mac and hollandaise. Doesn't that sound interesting and yummy? Let's see what we got here. Asparagus mac and hollandaise. Okay, this creamy hollandaise sauce complements the asparagus beautifully and gives the mac UnCheese a touch of elegance that makes it ideal for a Sunday brunch or a Saturday night dinner. Now, what I'm confused by here. Oh, no. Okay. No, I'm not confused. So now are we mixing the pasta? I'm just trying to read here and see what she does. Okay. It looks like she makes I'm trying to see if the pasta and the asparagus are, oh yeah. So the pasta and the asparagus are stirred in together. So I didn't know if it was like asparagus on the side with hollandaise over it. It is a pasta with asparagus in it. The asparagus cut into small pieces, mixed up with the very simple UnCheese sauce that she gives you here, and then drizzled with the hollandaise served over the top and perhaps sprinkled with some toasted pine nuts in there if you fancy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's delicious. I mean, what a fun like brunchy mac that is, right? You could do a whole thing on brunchy macs. Oh, she hit me over the head here with the spinach artichoke mac and cheese. That's on page 70. Spinach artichoke mac and cheese. Will it be everything I want it to be? Ooh, in this one, she also, so Inspired by the traditional spinach and artichoke dip, this mac and cheese also features Kalamata olives, cherry tomatoes, and fresh basil. It's a favorite at parties, and why wouldn't it be? Spinach and artichoke dip just does it for everyone all the time. I recently, well, not recently, over a year ago now, I created an allergy-friendly spinach and artichoke flatbread for PCRM, and people go bananas for it when we serve it at functions. So I get it. Lean into that spinach and artichoke, Robin. Get it. And it's a basic sort of white cheese sauce, it looks like in here. Cream sauce, I guess, would probably be the better way to say it in here, with marinated artichoke hearts, drained and chopped. And then we got the cherry or grape tomatoes, Kalamata olives, basil. Trying to see what she does for spinach. She uses fresh chopped baby spinach, so this is good to go. It looks so creamy and delicious. I love those little pop of other flavors in there with the tomato and the olives. I love olives in all pasta always. I have a very good friend. Well, I had. His name is Joe. He passed away quite some time ago now. Joe Bertucci. And whenever I went over to his house, he always made this pasta for me. He grew up in this big Italian family. He had 15 brothers and sisters. Can you believe it? And when I visited his mom's once, she has in her living room, because of all the kids and grandkids that live nearby, she has picnic tables throughout her house so everyone can just sit and visit, and she's always cooking. But so he would whip up this pasta that was literally just like noodles, olive oil, and like garlic and olives. And I would lose my mind over that stuff. I loved it so much. I still make a version of it from time to time, and it make the smell when you make it with the garlic and everything sauteing, it just smells so yummy, so delicious. So shout out to Joe Bertucci, love you. All right, so chapter 4 is meaty macs. So she's mixing in some meats here, right? We got a chili mac, a crabby mac UnCheese, barbecue jack mac, Philly cheese mac, kids stuff mac and cheese, shepherd's mac, lobster mushroom mac and UnCheese, brat and kraut mac UnCheese, jerk tempeh mac, tetrazzini mac, and mac and stroganoff. Ooh, where to go? Let's go with the crabby mac UnCheese. I'm curious to see what she's making that crabby crab out of. You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. Page 99. Crabby Mac UnCheese. She says, I make my favorite plant-based crab cakes with hearts of palm. Delicious. And artichokes. And I've discovered they also make a great addition to Mac UnCheese. Old Bay seasoning and nori or dulse flakes provide a subtle taste of the sea. And she's not wrong. Again, a basic sauce recipe. And then she's tossing in, doing rotini with this, which I love, and tossing in the hearts of palm and the artichoke hearts to get that crabby texture in there, and the seaweed or the nori and the dulse to get the taste of the sea. So very smart, very on par. Gonna get that crabby mac UnCheese. And then we've got, let's see, lobster mushroom mac UnCheese. I want to see if it's sort of the same thing or what we do here. So lobster mac mushroom, what kind of mushrooms we using? Like what's all happening here? So lobster mushroom mac UnCheese. So she used, I was thinking lobster mac, but she's using lobster mushrooms. So that's fantastic. Although fresh lobster mushrooms can be difficult to find, try Whole Foods, she says. Dried ones can be easier to locate at specialty food stores or online. Regular white mushrooms or oyster mushrooms may be substituted for up to half of the lobster mushrooms. So she just said it. If you're going to make it, you got to go for them lobster mushrooms, okay? We got a basic cashew cream involved in this. We have a vegan sour cream involved in this. She's got recipes for them on the opposite page. And then she's got that delicious lobster, 2 cups of those lobster mushrooms. So this is, you got to take your wallet in the store to make this one happen, okay? Just know you're going to be spending some money on some shrooms. Mac and stroganoff. 116. Hitting up that mac and stroganoff. Let's see. Traditional stroganoff features a creamy sauce and is served over noodles, so it wasn't much of a stretch to come up with this mac and stroganoff. If you can find egg-free egg noodles, which I never can, but she says, yes, it's a thing. I don't doubt that it is. I just can't ever find them. She says use them, but the recipe calls for readily available fettuccine noodles. So she's giving you a nice sub right there. She also has a sauce right next to it called Mac and Speedy. says for the easiest, speediest vegan mac and cheese, cook your macaroni in unsweetened plant milk and stir in vegan cheddar shreds. Dinner is served. Wow. My mind's blown a little bit. I don't know why I never thought of doing that before. That is genius. And she gives you measurements here. So she says, but gosh, that is a lot. Well, it's for a whole box of pasta. So for a whole box of pasta, you're going to do 4 cups of unsweetened milk with a cup of water and the pasta, and then 3 cups of your vegan cheese shreds. I got excited about this, but I also don't think I would like it. So, but maybe I would. I shouldn't say that until I've had it, right? I mean, that's pretty amazing to make quickly like that. So mac and stroganoff, are we calling for any store-bought? I'm trying to see if she has meat in here because it's must be the mushrooms she's talking about then. Mac and stroganoff, because I don't see any meat in here, but it does have sweet Hungarian paprika, which, is a buddy of the stroganoff, so that makes sense. Yeah, that's great. And it's pretty easy to make. Lots of a basic list of ingredients there. Now, I also saw shepherd's mac in here, so I'm curious if that is like a vegetable base and then you're putting macaroni over it. Sure enough, look at that. Oh, it looks so good. So you're doing like a lentil mixture, it looks like. A lentil mixture that you're putting in the bottom with some vegetables. You're topping it with the pasta and the sauce, and then you're baking it off like a shepherd's pie. So basically, instead of having potatoes on the top of your shepherd's pie, you're going to have a macaroni and cheese on top. I'm down with that. I can get into it. I mean, I don't have to go right to the pages for us to know what these are. I just want to shout them in again because they sound so good. Barbecue, Jack and Mac, Philly cheesesteak mac. I love anything that's been Philly cheesesteaked, anything. Brat and Kraut mac and cheese. Get into it. So great stuff. Love that. And we're on our final chapter here. So we've got chapter 5, fun with mac and cheese. Oh, these are cool. So we have a cheesy mac mug. Now I'm wondering, is that like single serving macaroni and cheese? Because if it is, that is definitely what I should have made myself last night. She says, if there are fewer than 4 people in your family, chances are that there will be leftovers when you make mac and cheese. At my house, that's never a problem. I usually just heat up the leftovers the next day and they disappear. If you want to have some fun with your leftovers, try the recipes in this chapter to transform your leftover mac UnCheese into something completely different. If you don't have any leftovers on hand, whip up a batch of my favorite mac UnCheese, such as the one pot Cheesy Mac, page 39, to use in these recipes. This chapter also includes 2 creamy noodle-centric desserts. As well as Cheesy Mac in a mug. Recipes to satisfy mac UnCheese cravings in minutes. I want to see this mug one. She says about this recipe, it is for those times when you crave a little comfort food. It's ideal for a late night snack or quick anytime meal. It's also a great way to make a small amount of mac UnCheese to use in the other recipes in this chapter when you don't have any leftovers. This needs to be made in a large mug to avoid the water boiling over in the microwave. If you don't have a large mug, use a bowl. So in a large microwavable mug or bowl, combine the pasta, water, and a pinch of salt. Microwave on high for 2 minutes. Continue microwaving, stirring between each and the pasta is tender. If the pasta absorbs all the water before it's cooked, add another 2 tablespoons of water. The water should be absorbed completely and the pasta cooked through. Carefully remove the hot mug or bowl from the microwave and stir in the milk, mustard, and cheddar sauce. Well, see, now I don't like that. Well, you can do both. Okay, so she says, and cheddar sauce, because I was going to say, this is quick and easy. Look at this. But then if we're making a cheddar sauce, but she says you can use cheddar shreds. So you can stir in the cheddar sauce or the cheddar shreds. Season with salt and pepper, microwave for 1 minute or more to melt the cheese. Stir to mix well and serve hot. I love that. Look at that. There was a time, and I still may do it, who knows. I love me a good little meal in a mug, right? Something you pop into the microwave real quick. I especially love, cake mugs. I love them so much because I love cake. And I am the type of person, since I cook as much as I do, to make a cake for me is like not this big ordeal where I'm like, oh, the kitchen's gonna get messy, I have to do whatever. It's like, no, let's just get other things and make a cake. That's terrible. Because no one should be eating cake every day. I want to have cake every day, but like I can't eat it every day. let alone what it does for my clothing that won't fit, but just for how I feel. I don't feel good if I eat cake every day. Because trust believe, if I have a full birthday cake the day after my birthday, if there's some of that cake in the house, I'm like, well, it's my birthday cake. I'm allowed to eat the whole thing. So I've spent days where I've just eaten cake and I have loved it, but then I don't feel so great, is what I'm saying. So cake in a mug is a great thing. Anyways, cheese mac UnCheese omelet. Mac UnCheese omelet. Just a small amount of leftover mac and cheese goes a long way as a unique filling in this delicious omelet made with chickpea flour. So essentially a vegan omelet, and you're putting mac and cheese in it. That's great to me. Waffled mac UnCheese. Now I'm gonna guess she's putting leftover mac and cheese in a waffle iron, and I am here for it. She says these waffles make a hearty brunch or supper or super or supper doused with hot sauce, or try them topped with fried vegan seitan strips and brown gravy for a taste of the South. This recipe is a great way to use up leftover mac and cheese. No leftovers, she says. Whip up a batch of the one pot cheesy mac. So basically, put your leftover mac in a waffle iron. Will it waffle? Cheesy broccoli mac soup. So this is like using some of your mac and cheese, leftover mac and cheese, or no, using some of the sauce. I actually have some sauce left over and some broccoli. I could make this soup. So it's a mac and cheese. It's a cheesy soup with some pasta and broccoli in it. I mean, delish. Mac and cheese balls. So she's giving you these good cheese balls, honey. So great. This is a process to make mac and cheese balls, but it's the mac and cheese encased in, um, you know, a dredge essentially, and then fried. So it's a little labored, but like if you're having a party or something, these will go over like gangbusters. Promise ya. Cheesy Mac Muffins, putting your leftover mac in a muffin tin and making your macaroni and cheese into muffins. How tasty and fun is that? Mac on the pizza, so macaroni and cheese on the pizza. Mac UnCheese quesadilla, putting the macaroni and cheese into a flour tortilla and making a quesadilla. So many, lots of different things to do with your leftover mac and cheese. I love it so much. And so many things to do with your mac and cheese in general. I got to get on this mac and Thai or the creamy curry mac or the salsa mac and queso. Actually, I think it's that creamy curry mac for me. That is what I am on. And that is Robin Robertson's vegan mac and cheese. More than 50 delicious plant-based recipes for the ultimate comfort food. There you have it. Thank you, as usual, Robin Robertson, for another fantastic book that everybody can get everywhere books are sold. And you can learn more about Robin and get more of her recipes at robinrobertson.com and on Instagram. You can find her there at Vegan Without Borders. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram at The Vegan Roadie. As always, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you listening. If you feel like it, if you feel so inclined, I would love it if you gave the podcast a review if you like it. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, keep on cooking, and remember, it's nice to be nice. This has been a Muzzy Cat production.